Mission Impossible Final Reckoning has marked the final installment in the Mission Impossible franchise. So, let's rank all 8 movies for the last time. Now, this movie was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was. When I first watched it, I wasn't a fan of it, but this time on rewatch, it worked a lot better for me. I remember this movie being absolute garbage when in reality it's not bad at all and is still a decent movie. The action, just like the rest of this franchise, is still the best part of this movie and still the best aspect of the movie. But the one thing that really brings down this movie is the weak plot. It is boring. And that's what truly holds this movie back. For a Mission Impossible movie, these are not flaws that you really want, which is why it's the weakest of the franchise. But, although it's last place, it's not a bad movie. And that's where we have our newest installment, The Final Reckoning. Now, the thing about this movie is the last half of the movie is what truly saved it. Without that last half of the movie, this movie would easily be dead last on this list. But because of that second half being exactly what this franchise is, it saved the movie. Stunts, story, all of it is in that second half. The first half of the movie, I don't know what they were doing. It is slow. It's choppy. It feels like they didn't know what to do, so they were just dragging out the movie just to make it a movie's length. Because part 1, Dead Reckoning, was great. I will talk about it later on, but then we get to part 2. And everything set up in part 1 is in part 2, but it's still dragged out that it just feels like they didn't really have a plan after part 1. Just for the fact that it's so drawn out. It just feels like they didn't know what to do, so they just dragged it out. Because even when we do get to that final act, when it pays off everything part 1 set up, it still doesn't feel like that satisfying note that we wanted to hit that part 1 set up. It just feels like part 2 is just here because they wanted the part 2. It feels drowned out. It feels like it's overstaying its welcome. If we just look at the first half, this movie would be in last place. But that second half saved it just to bump it up to this spot. The movie that started it all, and it still serves as a solid start to this franchise. Compared to the other films that this franchise goes on, compared to the route that the other franchise does, this one is a lot more grounded. Has a great twist at the start of the movie that no one's expecting. It really kicks the plot into motion. The story isn't trying to be anything grand and over the top, it is grounded. Great start to this franchise because it started off on grounded roots. Same thing with Mission Impossible 2, it is grounded. This is before the franchise started becoming this big stunt spy fest. It's grounded, and that's what you can appreciate this movie for. The movie can be slow in the middle, but the first and second half of the movie is what truly kicks this movie into gear. Grounded, but that's what's great about it. This movie didn't waste a second and hooked you in the moment it started. And it keeps you hooked throughout the rest of the film with this insane action sequences at Tom Cruise. This is when Mission Impossible became Mission Impossible. This is when the story started becoming more Mission Impossible type. The action and story is intriguing enough and hooks you in for the entire movie. And you're never once bored. The movie runs at a fast pace, not wasting a single second of screen time. There's an action scene every 6 minutes, showing that fast pace that this movie has. Great villain as well. This is when Mission Impossible became Mission Impossible. Now I just stated how Mission Impossible 3 just made Mission Impossible, while Ghost Protocol made Mission Impossible into the franchise that it is now. It serves as that new start to the franchise. Mission Impossible 3 had all the action that Mission Impossible has become, but this one has more of that spy roots that Mission Impossible is with Rogue Nation, Fallout, those type of movies. Ghost Protocol started. This movie completely flies by and you forget you're watching a 2-hour movie. In fact, you're forgetting you're watching a movie at all from just how insane some of these stunts can be and how hooked you are into the story. Like when Tom Cruise was climbing that building, I was gasping. Although it's not the most insane stunt that he has done in this franchise, it is still like palm sweaty. You're hooked into that scene. This movie takes everything that you liked about Mission Impossible 3 and even the movies that came before that and improved on it. It was like, hey, you like this stuff about these movies, Let's do more of that, but and also improve on it so you get more of what you liked. And that's exactly what this movie does, and what the rest of the franchise does too. Jeremy Renner's is also a great add to this franchise. I just wish we got more of him after Rogue Nation. Definitely did mark a new era for Mission Impossible and really shaped the rest of the franchise from this point. Tom Cruise now knows that the action is the best part of the Mission Impossible franchise because now we have the action multiplied by 100. Because in the first 10 minutes of the movie, he's already hanging off of a plane, which is insane. Besides for the final act, which I do think is weak compared to the rest of the film, these Mission Impossible movies just keep getting better and better after every installment. They take what worked so well about the film that came before and improves on it too. Like this one, the action scenes are now a lot more intriguing, and you're hooked a lot more. But I love this one even more. And I love the next two films even more, because what they do so well is improve every single time. That's why these movies keep getting better and better. They all have the exact same things that make them so great. They all have the same pros that make these movies so great, but they improve on it every time. So you like this about this movie, but now they took that and made it better. And they do that for each individual movie. Now this one has almost non-stop action scenes and a story that hooks you in even more. For me, it's insane to think about how this is not even the best Mission Impossible film. Just for a point of reference, everything from this point forward is a 5 out of 5 film. Everything for the last few numbers down have been 4.5 out of 5. Just showing how good this franchise is, but now we're in that 5 out of 5 range. And for me, Dead Reckoning is almost on the tier of Fallout. For a movie that is almost 3 hours long, it completely flies by. Tom Cruise is still doing insane stunts, and still keeps you hooked throughout the entire movie. As stated in Rogue Nation, everything great about the previous movie, they take and improve on it. This movie left me excited to see what they were going to do with Final Reckoning. I was very excited to see how they conclude the storyline. Now that we actually have that second half of the story, it kind of bumps this movie down a bit. Because we see that the ending of the story is not the way we fully wanted the ending to be. But I still love Dead Reckoning either way. But real quick, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1K by the end of the year, consider hitting that subscribe button. And let's say my number 1. This is easily the best Mission Impossible film. And some could say the best action film, the best spy film. Not only does it improve on everything great about every single other installment in this franchise, but still does it in a way that still feels fresh and new. Not copying and pasting everything that came before, but bringing us the story with plenty of twists in it, and plenty of insane moments and stunts. Like that helicopter stunt is like, whoa, Tom Cruise. That's insane. It leaves your jaw on the ground with that entirety of the third act, and that third act completely flies by. Now the first act of the movie is good, but compared to the second act, you kind of forget the first act is even a thing. That last hour of the movie is truly what Mission Impossible is. It shows what this franchise is, and why it represents the Mission Impossible franchise, and why it's the best movie in this franchise. If you like this video, maybe these ones on the side will interest you too. Like, subscribe, see you guys next time. Goodbye.